Hey guys, it's Joel. I'm here in the garage. You can tell it's an absolute mess in here. But I've been working on the 69 and got the engine put in finally. And of course, it's not running exactly like I would want. So I've got the carburetor kit ordered so I can rebuild the carburetor that I have on my bench, and then I'm also going to put in a vacuum advanced distributor with electronic ignition, try to give it a little bit extra pep that it needs. And of course I still have to paint that engine tin as well, and the air cleaner needs to be cleaned as well, but from how it looked before to now is definitely much better. So with this car, long story short, I worked on the car, got it going for a lady when I worked at the VW shop, and then she sold it, and I ended up buying the car from the guy she sold it to, and drove it for a little while. It of course caught on fire, and so I got it all fixed back up, and then later sold the car. That guy took the car down to Florida, and his girlfriend didn't want it, so it sat. And then he eventually sold it to someone else, and then finally I was able to buy it back. But from the car sitting for multiple years in Florida, not in a garage, not covered, the car's come back to me in pretty rough shape. So basically I am working on it and just gonna make it into a driver and fix the little things as I can. I recently changed the transmission because the transmission that was in it was it would always pop out of reverse and would grind in between second, third. So I got a good used transmission, put that in there, and then the engine had some blow-by, so I decided to go ahead and get that rebuilt. Normally I would rebuild my own engines, however I've just been so busy that I decided to have someone else rebuild this engine. So it's been rebuilt, and just got a few more things that I need to do to it to get it running the way that I want it to run. And with my cars, I like to have heat. So it does have heater boxes, and it's all hooked up in the back, but of course the cables at some point snapped. So I've got heater cables, and we'll work on getting these new heater cables put in. Stay tuned. Alright, like I said, this poor car is a mess, so you'll see some dirt and nastiness here. Little plastic spacer there's getting kind of crumbly. Now, this is a 1969. A lot of these cars are, very similar. Everybody thinks they know Volkswagens. So, this knob here, this directs the heat, whether it's coming out the front or supposed to route up front to defrost. Of course, we can come back here, and you see right here this has some carpet fuzz on the end. And as I move this, you can see that cable kind of moving. I didn't even think about replacing that cable, honestly. So I'm not. The goal here is at least just to get some heat in here. And so we won't be touching this side here, but this side here is the one that actually turns the heat on and off that goes to the heater channels in the back. Alright, so the nut is off, and then the bracket's off, and of course this plastic spacer has literally just, it's done. Alright, so now I'm going to try to pull this out here. As you can see, here's the cable where it comes through and links into here. This is actually not a job that I've done before. So I've been working on VWs for a long time, but thankfully I haven't had to change these cables before. So this is kind of new for me. You probably do it a different way. That's fine. So what I did was I pushed this arm all the way down, which lifted it out of the hole, and then slide it off like so. And then we can see here that right there is the channel that cable is going to run through. So I can pull this right through, and you can see if you look closely, it's actually, this cable has one end with two cables, and so you've got two tubes, one to each side heater channel. And so whenever we put that back together, of course we want to grease it up and make sure that we put one cable in each hole. Don't try to shove both cables into one hole. Alright, I'm going to yank this out and get ready to put in the new cable here. Obviously this is the end that goes onto the arm, and then here's the end that has to go into the tube. Now one side is slightly longer than the other one. Anybody have any idea which side is which? Good question. I believe that it goes in just like this, which is the same as the cables holes down there, the tubes that they run inside. Now the other important thing is to always grease the cables, and I've always done it the old school way. Basically you take your red grease and you put it in your hand, the palm of your hand, and then you run the cable through that. And so so here's red grease in my hand. I'll take and run these cables through them, and basically run them through my hand as they're going through the tunnel here, and that way they get a nice coating of grease. So we're going to take, of course this is flopping around everywhere, take these and get the ends lined up down here. Alright, so very carefully get them started. Of course you want to be careful so that you don't break them. You know, the quality of these things aren't as good as they used to be. And so as I'm feeding these cables in, I'm running them through the grease in my hand, and so hopefully these cables will stay somewhat greased and will operate properly. Alright, I felt them go out the back. And so now they're hanging up a little bit. So, of course, now I've got this mess I have to wipe up. Alright, and of course, I'm being a little lazy here and not jacking the car up. So we'll see if we can even see underneath here. And so, thankfully this car is not lowered. And, alright, so now this side has not come through, so I was incorrect on that. And neither has this side. So we got to go back in the car and finesse it a little bit more to get these cables through. I really found with working on these old cars not to get in a hurry. You start getting in a hurry and start shoving stuff, and you start screwing stuff up. So that's what we're not gonna do here. I can hear them, but they're getting stuck somewhere. Alright, this was not as easy as I thought it was gonna be. So you can see, let me see, get it up there. See how nasty that is? So the cables didn't want to come through because apparently they were all clogged up with junk. We've got them through now, and now I just got to make sure I got them in the right spots. I had to bend the tubes out, as you can see there. They got pushed in the car, and of course I've got to get this cable out enough so that I can hook it onto the arm. Alright, so we've got the arm, which doesn't go this way, it goes this way. So I can now move this, use that little paper clip to get the thing out. Alright, now that's in there, we can slide it back down. And this is the tricky part. Things going to want to break, of course. Come on, slide on there. Good. Now let's see if this is going to be okay. It is. The cable's got a little bit bent up, but as you can see, they're going to work just fine. Hope to have the carpet out of here once I get all the metal work done to the door pillars, because this carpet is disgusting. But now this works. I'm going to put a couple washers on. Like I said, I don't have any of the large outer diameter M8s, so I'm just going to throw a couple regular M8s in there to replicate that plastic piece that used to be there. Ugh. Somebody's hair is on this bracket, not mine. All right. Oh, there we go. All right, so it looks like those washers are going to work pretty well, and tighten this up. You want to snug it down, but you still want to be able to lift and lower this arm with some resistance so that it'll stay at whatever position you want it to be at. And of course, I do see that cable there being bent like that. No clue if it's going to last. I'll have to do an update on that. So as far as the cables go, I know I was talking about how one was slightly longer than the other one. I think that's because the driver's side, the 3/4 cylinder, is slightly set back from the 1/2. So the 1/2 is a little bit further forward. And so this cable here is slightly longer, and you see it'll fit right in there. And then, now this one though, that one's looking like it's going to be a little short. So I'll have to figure that one out. Wonderful. All right, well, looking at these cables some more, and you see how far this one is here, and it actually goes quite far into that bracket. And this one here, passenger side, I'm sorry, I've got them backwards. You see how far this one is? It would have to, the heater box would have to be open in order for me to get this in. But this side, the passenger side, it's getting kind of dark, is pretty far in there. So I think I've got the cables reversed in the wrong holes. So of course, I need to fix that. This old school ratcheting wrench. So of course, I gotta do this quick because I'm getting tired of working on it. And it's dinner time. So nut off, bracket off, washers off, and then slide the arm off. Alright, I had to go get a little hook pick, and now we'll slide these out. Oh, that one got bent. Oh my god. Okay, so they were just stuck at the ends. Didn't record that part. Anyway, alright, so I'm gonna pull these out. I just had to pull the bracket off. Alright, now I'm gonna watch to see which one goes in which hole so that I don't make the same mistake again. I'm trying not to hit the headliner with these greasy cables. Alright, so this one's gonna go in the bottom hole and this one goes in the top. So that one goes in the bottom, and this one goes in the top. There we go. Now they should feed right through. Easy as butter since we've cleaned it all out. Perfect. Thank goodness. Alright, of course I was able to get it back on there once I paused the video. Alright, great. So we got the washers. Little stopper. There we go. And the nut. Yeah, see, these make the job a lot faster. So I'm watching this little bracket. So once it stops wobbling around, then I know getting close. Alright. There we go. And now it's not as bent as it was before. So now we'll crawl back under the car and look. So if we look here, now that one should slide right in there, and this other side should do the same. And it does. Perfect. So now I'll get the, I think they're called barrel screws, barrel nuts, whatever. Put those in there, tighten them down, and we got heat. I got these things here. Barrel, some people call them barrel screws, some people call them barrel nuts, some people call them barrel clamps. On a VW, these are used for the accelerator cable and the heater cables, etc. So one of these is a genuine one. One is kind of a strange one, but it's all I have right now. I had some extra ones, no clue where they are, so I'll have to order some more, but I'm gonna go ahead and get these heater cables hooked up so that we can have heat. Alright, so let's see. Alright, we'll start here, and the barrel screw sits in here like this, and then you push this cable through. This one's going to be a little tight. Alright. So I'm going to have to put it right on the end of this one because it's tight. And this is not the proper way to do this. I would always use a wrench, but I'm just not 100% sure on that one. Now we'll switch to the other side. Oops. Alright. And same thing, barrel screw. And I gotta loosen it up. This one looks like it got bent, of course. Oh, wonderful. So, I guess when this thing went for a rebuild, this piece got bent. And now I can't get this in here. Perfect. Alright, another pause. Alright, with a little finessing, I got it in there. And then we slide this cable in here, which of course is going to give us a hard time. Oh my gosh. Alright, I'm done with this. Alright guys, I dug around and found one. So let's try this again. Alright. Hopefully you can see that. Barrel nut in here. I think that's on there. We will find out, won't we? Yeah. Good. And you see there still has a little bit of play in it right here. Not much, but a little bit. So we know that it's, at least the heater box is closed. And it's going to be pumping heat on me when I don't want it to. Alright, now let's move to the other side. We've got this other one. Again, goes in there. Now this one had a little more room. So again, I want it to be somewhat snug, but not open. Whoops. There. Alright. And there we go. Now, heater boxes work. The heater cables are hooked up, but I don't have the rear breastplate in, and the heater hoses aren't connected from the fan shroud down to the heat exchangers. So it wouldn't matter if we fired it up or not, because no heat would flow. But we can check the cables. And so again, this is the one that we changed, and that's wide open right there. And then we can hear them. So once we get that rear breastplate on and the heater hoses on, then we can go ahead and fire it up and see how the heat works. Obviously we have a lot left to do to the old 69, but every day, every little project, it's getting closer and closer to being that driver. Take care, guys.